Welcome to the Gate 7 International Podcast, your official English source for all things Olympiacos FC and Greek football.
The first day of training is when I realized, this is why they win the league every year.
When I spoke with Kevin, if I gonna sign or no for Olympiacos, he said, you are crazy, go direct, my friend.
Να πετύχω, ήθελα να μείνω στην ιστορία του Ολυμπιακού.
I can't speak, sure.
Yeah.
Έλα μαλάκα!
Σάγα πάρα πολύ. Είμαι Γκάβος πάντα, όλα μαζί.
What's up, everybody? Gate 7 International back at it again. Sunday afternoon or evening edition for some of you, especially those of you in Greece and Europe. How is everyone doing today on this lovely, lovely Sunday? A lot of things to be happy about, a lot of revelry to be had this past weekend. So many things going on for all manner of red and white in different countries as well. Obviously, the first things first, Kostas, number 47. First time going live since we are the champions after the game, the home game against Paok, after the celebrations in the Karaiskaki Stadium. We've talked about how the season hasn't been the best season in terms of what we've seen, the product on the field, but nonetheless, even at our worst, we still win the title in Greece. Number 47 is here. Congratulations as well to our women's basketball, winning as well in the Panathinaikos home court. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Kevin Milalas here. Guys, you should be all together today. Oh, look, man, everybody's schedule is tough. Everyone's is tough. A lot of partying from Eurovision last night. A lot
I don't think that's the one. I don't think that's it, man. I don't think that's it, man. We're just getting older is what's happening. A lot of responsibilities.
Exactly. That is so true. 100%. You know how it is, guys. We try to get as many of us on here as possible, and we're hoping that we can get the entire crew back on for a show in the future, in the near future, I should say. Before we move forward with all the revelry to be had, including what has gone on with our very own Kostas Tsimikas, our Greek export to to England. Guys, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe. The button is right there on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Hit the bell if you want to be notified every time we go live. Help us continue to grow this red and white community and make it the largest community worldwide. Now, Costa, how does it feel? Number 47. Listen, the fifth star is in sight, my friend. It's not far away. How does it feel?
Well, I mean, I've become quite numb to this whole thing, if I'm being honest. I think I stopped celebrating championships since I was in high school, I think, because that's around the time when the Greek league started going downhill in general. I mean, obviously, Olympiacos won it fair and square. There's still some excitement to be seen. Aris had an amazing victory over Paok yesterday, coming behind from 2 goals. Panathinaikos are second in the league, same points as Paok, I believe, and they're going to play for second place coming up. Okay, fair enough. I'm not okay. Good for Olympiacos. It's funny. I was just thinking that in 3 years' time, Olympiacos are going to celebrate 100 years. And if Olympiacos win every title until then, they will have won 50 titles in 100 years. That's one title every 2 years. So we were talking about how Olympiacos need to find a new mentality. They need to channel in their inner Bayern Munich. And I don't mean become Bayern Munich and go and win the Champions League. I mean become a world within a world of the Greek Super League. Become your own world there. Become you and everyone else. And start pushing yourself in Europe. Start growing within the football community. And, if you want to find a goal in Greece, if you want to find something meaningful in Greece, this is it. Win 50 titles by the time you make it 100 years. That's a goal, I think. That's a good goal, I think, to have.
No, I think you're right. And look, even though we actually clinched the title earlier on, the celebration was this past Saturday, and along with a few other things, we're in a very celebratory mood. Obviously, there are some things that need to change for the summer if we really want to be many things. You're 100% right. We're going to get into some of those things because there's already some rumors as well about some of those things that will be happening. But it still is a good thing that in the worst season we've had in recent past, we are still able to win the league. I know that says more about the Greek league than it does about anything else, but it feels good to be able to say, listen, we were terrible, but we still won this thing. So what does that say about you guys? And it's a huge thing. But next season we're definitely going to have our work cut out for us. Olympiacos is back in Europe, and they will be a contender next year. That team was great in the second half of the season, especially in the playoffs.
Hopefully.
So, and we need a healthy Panathinaikos pushes us to be the best version of ourselves. Healthy Paok does nothing for us because they still don't win the title. But anyway, it is what it is. Olympiacos gets the 47th title, and we're already, as Karapapa said, we're already looking towards next season. And a lot of things are going to be changing. It looks like in the summer, some players are going to be leaving, some are staying, and we will see what happens with the rest. Before we move anything further with any post-match or any transfer rumors, Costa, you wrote a lovely article about our former red-white, Kostas Tsimikas, who is now becoming a legend at Liverpool. And in your article, you talk about he was the legend that they never knew they had. So go ahead, talk to us a little bit more about your article, what you wrote, and what Tsimikas did in the FA Cup final.
Well, I mean, Kostas Tsimikas was always a special player, and it was obvious from the Olympiacos days because upon joining Olympiacos, upon making it through the academy, he willfully went abroad to hone his craft, which, as I say in my article, which is in the description below, guys, if you want to give it a go, give it a read, and I hope you really, really like it. It's on the description below if you want to have a look. Contrary to many young Greek lads, Tsimikas agreed to go abroad for his loan stint, and he dealt with it so well because a lot of young Greek lads mistake the loan stint for rejection. Whereas in reality, the club tells you, listen, you're too young right now. We got other more experienced and senior players, and the bar is so high. We can't use you right now, but we could use you going abroad, learning from a tougher competition, and coming back better than ever and becoming an asset for us for years to come. Tsimikas did just that, especially at Willem. He came back, he basically earned the starting left back position. And it was obvious for everyone from the beginning that this is a special talent because there was nobody that even came close to being compared to Grigoris Georgatos at left back. And Tsimikas is there right now. He always had that mentality. He always had that hard work, a real workhorse he was. To a point where he's gone for 2 years and Olympiacos are still missing a left back. They're still feeling his absence, same as the right back. I always knew Tsimikas was the kind of character and player because he had this amazing way of combining character and talent that he would do something immaculate at Liverpool. I don't know what it is that he's going to do, but he's going to do something. He's going to leave his mark in Liverpool history one way or another. And he did it last night at the FA Cup. Many people were surprised. Nobody should have been, because Tsimikas always had that it factor in terms of combination of talent and character. Many doubted him after a really bad first season, but many forget that he didn't have a preseason. He was marred by his debut season was marred by injury. It was marred by COVID-19. Many people don't understand how important preseason is for any footballer. Thiago Alcantara also struggled, and now he is their best midfielder. He is among the best midfielders in the Premier League. If a player doesn't get preseason, it's like any one of us starting a new job without any sort of training, any sort of showing us the ropes. How does this work? How does this work? You can't expect us to do much good. Doesn't matter how talented we are. And the numbers show it. He only had like 7 appearances in total last season. And now, as Andy Robertson's understudy, he's already had 25, and he already has 7 assists under his name. Liverpool fans, you should be excited about the future. That is if Tsimikas stays, because he does have, in my opinion, a choice to make. Either stay at Liverpool and hope to get the best as Robertson's understudy. Hope that you're still going to get chances, which there's not going to be a lot because Andy Robertson is one of the best fullbacks in the world. Or take that big leap, go somewhere else, and God knows he's going to find some good suitors. I mean, he could find other teams in the Premier League, don't you think?
Yeah. Listen, we had this conversation in our WhatsApp thread about all the teams. Somebody had mentioned, I think it was on Don Robbie's channel, Arsenal Fan TV, I believe. And they were kind of just one of the guys brought up that Kostas Tsimikas is a starter on every other Premier League team. And, I see what he's saying. I don't know. Cancelo, I think, is a very brilliant player. So I don't know if he starts over him. Earlier on in the season, I thought maybe also Alex Telles, but now the more Tsimikas plays and the more Telles plays, the less I agree with that. If I'm an Arsenal fan in England, so I'd like to believe that Kieran Tierney, I think, but he's always injured. So that's always a consideration. So honestly, outside of Manchester City, maybe Chelsea. Outside of Manchester City, the Chilwell's, and I value him too. I think he's a solid player. So outside of maybe those two, I think he does start for every other team in the Premier League.
Tottenham, definitely. My opinion. This is my opinion, guys. Tottenham, he starts. Chelsea, Chilwell's going to be there. We don't know how he's going to be back after the injury, and I hope he's very well. Man United, he's better than Teges, but Shaw, there'd be some competition with Luke Shaw.
Right.
Arsenal, there'd be a lot of competition with Kieran Tierney, but he's always injured. He's very unlucky, Kieran Tierney. Unfortunately, City, no chance in the world. And then there's Liverpool, and there's Andy Robertson. He's done so great as Andy Robertson's understudy. Andy Robertson's better than all of the aforementioned left backs we just mentioned.
Yep. And Andy Robertson, he's been pushing him. Look at how the Liverpool fans have fallen in love with him. And for him, look, first of all, we have to say the guy has balls. If everything we've read is true, and he said, listen, I want to take the 7th penalty.
He did.
And that is balls. You love to see that. It's also, he's confident now in himself. He's playing well. He's pushing himself, and he's pushing Andy Robertson. It says a lot when you have a guy that is playing with arguably the best left back in the world and pushing him and pushing himself and making a case for himself to be playing more and more and more. And in my opinion, to eventually be starting. He's an incredible player. He's doing incredible things. And guys, remember, do you guys remember what some of the Liverpool guys were a little concerned? Like, oh, this guy, he played for Greece when he first joined them. They didn't know how well he was going to do. And in that first season, I think it was James Pierce wrote a couple things about him, and people weren't sure if he was gonna do it. And we kept telling everyone, listen, this guy is a workhorse. He will put his head down in training and he will bust his ass. He did it for us. He did it at Willem. We knew it was and he had the talent. We knew it was there. The work ethic was there. All he had to do was work and assimilate into the system. It was just a matter of when he would do it. And here it is. He's done it. He's already become a hero by making that the PK for the shootout that wins the FA Cup final. So it is fantastic stuff. I mean, I hope this kid becomes a legend because right now the way his trajectory is, I think he could end up going down as the best left back to play for this club. I think he could unseat Yorgatos. Not just
that could happen. That could actually happen because unlike Yorgatos, Tsimikas has succeeded abroad. It wasn't a matter of talent; it's a matter of mentality. Yorgatos didn't like it abroad. Life abroad is not for everyone, and I can tell you guys, I've spent half my life abroad, basically. It's a shame. It's a shame. Labros, Kostas, and Peter are not around because they would also tell you how it is living abroad. And I think have you spent all your life in America? You never lived in Greece, right?
I never lived in Greece. When I go to Greece, the most I've ever spent is a month. when I've been there.
Well, still though, I mean, still that's incredible though. It was a matter of mentality there, guys. Very excited to see what Tsimikas can do over there, but he does have a choice to make. He's 26, so that's a very good very good age, very productive age. But he needs to decide: do I want to stay there and become like a Divock Origi kind of character, or maybe unseat Andy Robertson? Good luck with that. Or do I want to go and break out somewhere else?
Yeah, we'll
whatever he does, I'm sure he's going to have a lot of support, and he has a lot of support from Jurgen Klopp, who rates him highly, and his very good friend Mo Salah as well. They're best friends.
Yep. And listen, he seems happy by all accounts. I saw that there were some rumors about Juventus peeking their noses around the corner. So listen, he's I think the sky's the limit for him as a player. And I think he can be the great. And I think that he will go down in history for Olympiacos. I think he has the ability to unseat Yorgatos' status with the club as the best left back to come through, not just best Greek left back as well. So great on him. I'm super happy for him. It means so much. And it's means a lot for the club too. Look at that. We have a talent that we sold into the UK that is being considered not just one of the best players on that team, but one of the best players in that league, when people are saying he can play for any other team without conversation. You know what I mean? What other player has come from Olympiacos and done that?
Giannakopoulos, bro. Probably Stelios Giannakopoulos.
Giannakopoulos for Bolton. Yeah, but for a title winner and title candidate.
Dabizas went to Newcastle, had a lot of success and became the first Greek player to play in the FA Cup final.
Right.
Yeah, and Papastathopoulos won it with Arsenal a bit later without playing. We got to say that. And Tsimikas won it for them. And well, if if Liverpool win the Champions League, Tsimikas becomes the first ever Greek player to win the Champions League.
Right. He'll unseat Akis Zikos as the closest Greek player to get there, because Akis was in the final with Monaco.
Yeah, but Zikos played.
And he did. That's right. He did play.
Zikos played.
Hey, listen, I'll still hope that Tsimikas makes his way in there. You know,
he earned it.
God
knows he earned it.
He did. We got a couple of comments in here I want to touch on. First from Greg Val. I'll translate this in English real quick. Congratulations to the channel. And for I take great joy from the interviews that you've done with the veterans. Bravo, guys. Thank you, Greg, for this comment.
Thanks, Greg.
Hope you continue to tune in. I see a comment here. Do you remember that Valverde didn't like Tsimikas? I'm pretty sure he was gone.
He meant Marco Silva.
Oh, I see that later on. Yeah, I'm catching up on the comments.
I don't remember
guys.
that either. I don't remember that either, to be honest. And if
I don't.
He was loaned out, though. Remember Tsimikas? He was loaned out.
He was. And here's the thing, Costa. And I know we kind of talked about this earlier. Costa brought this up in our group chat. Tsimikas could have been another one of those like lost talents that we, wasted away, because his loan with Willem had a buyout.
Did it? I don't remember that.
It was $2.5 million. Costa brought that up. I looked it up, and the stuff that I saw, or at least the things that were reported, indicated that there was a buyout with Willem of $2.5 million. Now, they couldn't afford it, but imagine if they ponied up the $2.5 million. Would have been very interesting. We would be talking about
Bento played a role there as well. I think Bento kind of played a role in giving young talent an opportunity, and that allowed the Retsos to come through most successful.
Yes.
Tsimikas, I think, got a bit of that as well. And then you have your Androutsos and your Manthatis. Yeah, that would have been something. Yeah,
and I like this comment from Lakis Gavalas. If Liverpool really believe in him, they'll sell Robertson and cash in.
Nope.
Listen, I don't think it's happening, but I'd love it. I would love it 100%. So, hey, love it. I'm so proud of the kid. He's done amazing things, and it's huge for Olympiacos also, because that puts us further on the map, that makes us a bigger image on the map when it comes to possible transfer targets, because he came from here, and now even more teams will go, and they'll see also some of the other past history in the Premier League that we've had in other leagues with players that have gone and had some success, like Luka Milivojevic. He hasn't been playing this much, and that's primarily because of the emergence of Conor Gallagher. but he was a staple in that side up until this year.
Arthur as well.
Exactly. Arthur Masuaku was doing really well. He actually scored a goal for West Ham earlier this season. He's been sitting on the bench many games, but
wonder goal against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Wonder
and we have sent players that we have had success. We've sold some solid talent. We can identify talent now better than we have in the past. And this is a good thing. And this is something that I believe looks good on us. And I hope that we can continue to do this and continue to develop players and not leave them by the wayside, especially in scenarios like this where the league's over, we've won the title. And we'll get into some of the post-match stuff with Paok, things I liked and didn't like, but the title's done. This is when you can be getting a look at some of these younger guys, some of these B team guys. Costa, I've heard you brought it up, and every time I hear it, I get so excited when you bring up Vasilis Orlis. I love hearing other people get excited about him. I want to see more of Fadiga. Every time we see him, it's interesting. He's a player that is of interest. You like seeing what he does on the field. We haven't had that excitement. You know what I mean? For a while this season. So it's great to see. Thank you, Andreas Mitzis. Jose Sa, too, for sure. Top 5 keepers this season. Guys, for the longest time.
Top 3, probably.
Actually. Yeah, if you look at his save ratios and expected goals conceded versus what's conceded, he has like one of the highest save efficiencies, or he did at least prior to the previous couple of weeks. So it's a very good look for the club. Yanni Spinos, we're good at selling and bad at buying. Listen,
no, I don't agree. I don't completely agree with Yannis on this one.
I see what he means also. Look, we're good at buying when it comes to talent that we see as a longer term project.
There you go.
But we're not good at buying when it comes to filling our core needs for the club. Like, we've seen that when we've tried to buy to fill something that a void that we have, like left back and wing, it's been garbage. But most of the buys we've had that we've just identified as this is a long-term thing. This is a solid deal. Like, guys, look at the Jose Sa. Look at Vachlik. Those were bargains. They were bargain deals that we saw as semi-long term to hold us over until the emergence of Solakis, for example. And hopefully. Look at some, the Agibu Kamara. Look at that. That was a super low risk buy, and he ended up becoming an important member of our first team.
And Madi and Cisse and Usainu.
Exactly.
Yeah, from Africa, it's been amazing from Africa, buying them for scraps and selling them for millions.
Exactly. Like even with Agibu kind of coming down to earth a little bit, the second half of the season, not getting a lot of those wonder goals, those things I told you guys were not sustainable. Even if we don't sell him for that 10 and 15 million figure people were talking about before, it's still a win. We got him for pennies. It's still a win. Still a very, very, very huge win. And while we're on the subject of transfers, Costa, we told you guys that there have been a couple of transfer rumors. You saw the messages from Carapapa. You saw some of the messages from other outlets about how things are going to be changing. Some people are coming in, some people are leaving. Well, one of the first major transfer rumors was Rafa Suarez from Victoria Guimarães in Portugal. And he just turned 27 years old. He's a left back, and by all rights, we have been told that he is our kind of number one target at that left back position. Right now, his current transfer market value is about 2.2 million. He doesn't seem like he's an expensive option. He's actually out of contract.
Yeah, that's
also this summer.
He's definitely leaving Vitoria.
Yeah, so this is a guy we'll probably get for free. Wage wise, he doesn't seem very expensive either. From the stuff that I've seen, I haven't been able to confirm anything, but he's not even on $500,000 a season. So his wages are pretty good too. And if this is a guy, look, remember, for left back, the goal I don't ever believe was that Oleg was getting cut or that he was going out the door. Exactly. The effort's there. He might be lacking in offense. We need somebody to push him. And as long as we have that depth so that we're not running Oleg into the ground in the first half of the season, this is somebody that'll push him. maybe somebody that's a little bit more offensive minded. I can't tell you too much. I haven't looked at him that much, but if we do sign him, I will give you guys a deep dive. I will be doing that like I always do. Very excited to do that. I haven't done one in a while. So I'm very excited to get back into the deep dives again. They're so much fun. But this is the first major thing, the first thing that we needed. Costa, if we do sign the left back first, are you going to be happy that they finally listened? 2 years we've been saying we need fullbacks, and we finally are addressing the thing first.
Have we?
That would be pretty fun. We haven't addressed it yet. I'm saying if it's the first thing done.
Have we been talking about fullbacks in this show? I have no recollection. I have no recollection of us talking about fullbacks ever in this show. Yes, listen, guys. If Tiquinho and El Arabi leave right now, Olympiacos still need to sign fullbacks. Just don't do anything else. Just get the goddamn fullback this season. We've mentioned that as well. You made a really good point. There was never an issue about getting rid of Oleg Reabciuk, but it is very important that he gets some competition over there. We were just talking about how important competition is with Tsimikas and Robertson. Imagine how important it is for Reabciuk. He needs that Brownie Deye treatment, just like when Oscar Cardoso joined Olympiacos with incredible scoring ratios at Benfica and Trabzonspor with 1 goal in every 2 games. Brownie Deye finally woke up and became the goal-scoring machine everybody needed. That's what Olympiacos need from Reabciuk, a spark to light under his ass. And Soares is a very decent player, as far as I know. A lot of experience in Portugal. He had a pretty rich. He has been having a pretty rich season, with 8 goals and 2 assists in 33 matches across all competitions. That basically means he is involved in 1 goal in every 3 matches for Vitória Guimarães. An incredible age for Olympiacos standards. Very productive, 27. Was a part of the Porto Academy. He prefers to stay in Europe. He would love to play in the Champions League. Corinthians are very much interested in him, but as we said, he prefers Europe. Of course, at Corinthians, it's everyone's favorite manager, Vitor Pereira, that wishes to sign him this summer. I think it's an interesting prospect. And at the end of the day, it's either finding a starting left back or finding someone that will make Oleg Reabciuk the kind of starting left back Olympiacos and any other team would need. Because remember, if Olympiacos managed to turn Reabciuk into a decent player, into a good player, they could also get to sell him down the road, which means profit as well. And unfortunately, as we said, Olympiacos is the kind of team that buys for scraps and sells for millions.
Yep. And that's the name of the game. Unfortunately, if we want to compete, that we have to do that. That's the model we have to follow if we want to compete with bigger budget teams. We have to find ways to increase our budget, and that means selling players. So, and I just double checked because I wasn't sure. We did buy Agibu Kamara for 150,000. So that was like next to nothing. We love deals like that, and if we bring in Rafa Suarez, that's more shrewd business by the club. A lot more has to be done at right back, we have to say, so that'll be interesting. We've talked about this before many times. I think, guys, we can count on. We heard that there were scouts again. I believe it was at the Panathinaikos games that were there.
Panathinaikos game, yes, they were there.
For
Leicester
Agibu
and
Kamara.
United.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I do have no such information about that. I don't know. What information do you have?
So just the things that I read in both the Foss Online and the Todeka articles that they were there. They were there looking at players, but they said of them was Agibu Kamara. So it sounded like there were multiple players being looked at. But that is the only information that I'm aware of. But they were there. I still think that it's probably a good high probability that he leaves. Maybe not for big money, but I think maybe he's out this summer.
Olympiacos have had to learn the hard way that they need to sell at least at the right time. Look at Madi Kamara. Look at maybe Ousseynou Ba. And, well, it's very hard to say this. I guess look at Ruben Semedo. I guess it's another one. But having said that, Olympiacos need to just get rid of Ruben Semedo right now.
Look, I will say hindsight. I think hindsight is 2020 with that. Because I remember when we were talking about the fees and figures with him that Porto, everyone was insulted by the fee that Porto was talking about back then. But putting into perspective his work permit issues, we couldn't get him to Wolves because of the work permit issues. Then, what happened, and we were reminded about the risk with him, and that's the type of risk that you have, him getting into, those types of issues. So look, regardless, our most valuable asset is going to be Cisse. So if we want money, we have to sell Cisse. Then we have to decide how we're going to plug that position. We're not going to get a lot of money for other people. There's a nice comment here from Andreas Mitsis. Try to get 25 million out of selling Cisse, Mari, and the likes of Lala, Onyekuru, and then invest carefully. I don't know if that's going to equal 25 million. Cisse is probably going to be 10 to 15, hopefully.
That's what I got.
12.
That's where I am with. That's the info I have with Cisse. But I do have a question for you, Ari.
Go ahead.
Would anyone buy Lala or Onyekuru?
So we've been hearing that it's Galatasaray is in the mix for Onyekuru. They do want to purchase him.
Yeah, but not for a lot of money.
But it's not going to be for a lot of money.
Yeah.
We're going to lose money on Onyekuru. Everybody just needs to face the fact with that. This was a terrible buy, a terrible investment. In the deep dive, I re-listened to my deep dive, and I'm happy to say that I didn't understand why we purchased him. I had an idea why, but I didn't understand it. I'm happy to say that I still agree with that, and that at the time my scouting was on point. But we're not getting the money for him. Madi, we're not getting close to what we could have gotten for him last season. We're not getting anything for him. So Lala, look, Kenny's an interesting character this season. There's a lot of people that don't like how soulless he is on the field, but he hasn't been awful. He's had some good games. There's some good parts about his games. He's a technical guy. He's not the most offensive oriented guy. Doesn't have a lot of flair, but I was going through some key plays of his during the season, and he does have very precision passing. He's had quite a few through balls. He has the highest crossing accuracy on the team. FYI, guys. So there's a lot of good stuff about his game. It's just one of the things, and I said this in the deep dive when we got him, the team that he was playing for was constantly on the defensive. They weren't a team that pressed high. They weren't a team that was constantly in possession. So the curious thing at the time was whether or not he could adapt to that. And I don't think he got there consistently. So I think we can get money from him because there's a lot of attributes that teams will like for him. In terms of his crossing delivery, in terms of his vision. If they're looking for a player that overlaps and somebody that can take players on, you're not getting that. But there's plenty of teams that still want a more traditional fullback that has plenty of technique and plenty of accuracy to his name. Will we get, good money like a 7 to 10 million fee for him? I don't think so. But we'll get more than what we spent for him for sure. Because I don't believe we spent even 500,000 on him. If my memory is correct. So, but the important thing, guys, to remember here, and I do see some people jumping on this as well, is that we're getting rid of some of these ridiculous contracts. Like Onyekuru, it was never disclosed what his real contract was, but I've seen figures discussed over 2 million, which is disgraceful. Like if this guy's one of our highest earners, that's a huge problem. Huge problem. Kenny Lala's not making a lot of money. He did get, I think he's on about 1 million because he was on about 700K in France. So he is, it's not a huge wage, but it is a wage. We can get better for less, I believe. If you're thinking we're getting 7 to 8 million for Madi, I think you're dreaming. I don't think that we would, I wish we would get that. But I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, at this point, there's a lot of guys on this team that have huge contracts that we have to offload. Figuring out what we're going to do with El Arabi, if we're going to continue giving him that money. El Arabi's done some important things for this club. We did see his production go down a little bit this season. It did pick up in the second half of the season. The last few weeks, he's turned it back on again, but unfortunately for me, that's too little too late.
Top scorer for Olympiacos still, but the productivity has been less.
So it's, do we roll with him? Do we keep paying him that money? It's a lot of money for us guys.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. Our wage bill has grown, and we're getting a little bit of a boost because I don't know if you guys saw we're signing, it looks like, that 3-year deal with Cosmote, and next season the TV rights money is jumping. It's close to 20 million euros, which is good, and that will help. But to compete, we're going to have to get better and better players, which means the wage bill's only going to be going up. So we need to start being smarter about the money that we're spending, and not just spending for the sake of spending, but continuing to evaluate good players and going back to what made us successful in the first 2 seasons, even third season, I'll say, at Pedro Martins, instead of this season where we made all the wrong decisions. So that's the important thing. And a lot of people are talking about also introducing more of our B team players. I agree with that. That's about as cheap as you get. Vasilis Sorlis, we signed him to a pro contract, but is he even making 100K? I don't think so.
I mean, Kostas said it best, and I was making this joke that when you see Olympiacos playing their first team, it's very suspicious because it looks like Olympiacos are throwing the game away, whereas when they play their seconds, they're going for it. That alone says a lot. That alone says a lot about preseason. Bagalianis needs to get an opportunity. Fadiga needs to get an opportunity. Surlis definitely needs to get an opportunity. I really want to see what could happen with those Dabo and Keita characters as well, who are considered talented. They definitely deserve an opportunity in preseason. But the way I see it in general, the only position at Olympiacos that doesn't need any recruitment is goalkeepers. Vatsili, Christensen, Zolakis, with Zolakis going to the B team and back, which he needs. He needs to get more games for experience and to grow. I think that's perfect. But every other position, literally every other position, except the number 10, but we're putting them in the midfield category, they need signing.
Yep. I agree with you there 100%. As far as I also saw somebody here asking if Mvila was leaving. I think that would be a mistake if we get rid of. And Lambro was talking about this when you guys were on the last podcast, but a lot of Greeks I've seen that were upset with Jan Mvila for how slow he is, and after recovering from COVID, kind of how poor defensively he is. But guys, he's a huge mistake. Look, forget about how Bouchalakis and Mvila look when they're together. When you have a proper 8 next to Jan Mvila, or let's say Madi is Madi, and he's playing like he did last season, or from the times we did before. Do you guys remember some of those games that we played? The first game against Marseille, when we ran the 4-3-3, and it was Mvila, Bouchalakis, and Madi. Do you guys remember what that looked like when Madi was playing at his best? Jan Mvila just distributing the ball all over the place, getting so many touches, constantly moving the ball around, Madi getting the ball forward. I mean, when you have a proper 8 next to him, he works great because he sits back. He's just that engine of possession. He pivots where he's got to go. He can put the ball on a dime wherever it needs to go. That's not the guy you get rid of. There's other players that need to be gotten rid of, and there's other players that hardly got any opportunities. I'm glad Lambro, there were a couple times he would dig in on Koundé here and there, but Koundé, I thought in the first half of the season, with some of the substitute appearances we saw, there was something there. Then he gets COVID, and it was a struggle for him getting back. But we've also been seeing in some of these appearances that he's made that there is something there. I don't think we wasted 2 million on him. I hope that he stays at least for the summer, gets another look. I think he can offer this team something. But beyond that,
something in the playoffs, he's showing something.
I agree. I agree with that. What I would like to see is if we do offload any midfielders, whether it's Madi, whether it's whoever, I want to see these B team players come into the fold. Vasilis Sorlis, nobody will be able to convince me that he does not deserve a chance with the first team. Yeah. Vasilis Sorlis, when I watch on replay the B team games, when I'm looking at things through Y-Scout, when I'm watching him, he is too good for the B team. He is too good. You just see it in those games.
Men and boys, as Kostas has put it.
Exactly. And every game I've seen, it's been like that. And there's a lot of people that engage with me on Instagram. A lot of you, Aguilar Scoots is one of them. I don't know if he's here now, that watches those games. He goes to those games and we talk about some of the players that have been playing. And everybody that has watched says the same thing. Why is Thrylos not in the first team? And that's he's one. If I had to just pick one, it's him. It's him. It's got to be in the first team. And if/when Cisse moves on, that's another one. Look, maybe we need to get another, first team center back. But I think Pagaglianis at least needs to get a promotion from the B team so we can start building that long-term plan again. Some of our best defenders have been Greeks that have come through this club. Center backs, we need to trust what we create because that's in our identity. That's our nationality. Greece breeds great defenders. We need to trust that and play those. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's for me. That's what I want to see happen.
Can I tell you for next season how Olympiacos could field based on what we've seen and what we're hearing about transfers? I think Olympiacos are made for the 4-2-3-1 formation ever since Valverde took over. And I think Martin should go with that with such good number 10s like Carvalho and Fortounis. How I see it, goalkeeper Vatslik, right back, left back signing, center back Manolas with a signing, or Manolas with Papastathopoulos / Bagaglianis / Kinkue / Markovic / Useinuba, who I'm not giving up on. Midfield, Mvila with a signing, or Mvila with Kunde / Surlis / Pepe. Wingers, signing on one side, and on the other side, Masouras / Gary Rodriguez / Radzelovic / Vrusai. Number 10, Fortuny / Carvalho. Striker, Tiquinho / El Arabi / signing. That's how I think the lineup should look next season.
I think you're right. I mean, look, especially for that winger position, you brought up when you were talking about signing plus Masouras plus Gary Rodriguez. First of all, we need a signing. Gary Rodriguez is the closest thing to a dynamic winger we have had this season. The only thing that we've had close. And he was marred by injury, but you've seen that when he gets playing and when he gets rhythm, he manufactures some solid opportunities. So there was an article that we shared on Twitter. We're going to be putting it out on Instagram this week and sharing some tidbits and some data from one of our bloggers, Patrick Kasky, who is not a Greek, by the way. We met him, if you guys remember, when we did that first show about with Neftchi Baku. He spent some time in Azerbaijan. He follows a lot of the smaller leagues. He is brilliant with football statistics and football analysis. And he wrote a wonderful article. You might have seen the article he wrote last year about Mari Camara. He also wrote one about Jan Mvila. And he just wrote one about getting the most out of Masouras, Yanis Masouras. It's on the website, www.gate7intl.com. Go check it out. But in there, everything that he talks about, all the things that we have talked about with Masouras, all the things that we've complained about, all the things that we like about him, what makes us kind of so confused in whether we love or hate this guy, because he's an enigma statistically. But one thing is for sure, and that thing is that Masouras needs a dynamic winger on the other side to kind of pull the creative load, because Masouras runs nonstop. Masouras can find the lanes. But Masouras, when he plays on the wing, is basically like a striker on the wing. That's how it works statistically. He doesn't have the skill to take people on. He has a nice cross. But the way he makes the runs, the way he's an animal in the box, the way he gets those opportunities, he's a striker that plays outside. He doesn't give you a lot of that creativity. You need somebody else to pull that weight. So we need that signing on the wing. We need that dynamic presence to pull that weight. So, Costa, I think you're absolutely hitting the nail on the head. Besides Gary Rodriguez, who we can't really trust to be healthy all the time, we need somebody else to do that so that we can continue getting the most out of Masouras. Because despite him being our best open play goal contributor this season, well, up until I should say this past week. I haven't checked the updated stats now. But our best open play goal contributor, but this isn't a guy you're going to make money on. He doesn't have the underlying skills or stats that teams will look for and that will get you that big fee. He will always be a great player for the Greek Super League. He will always be a great player, at the very least, a great squad player for Olympiacos. But he's not the type of guy that's going to be a European asset.
Yeah, well, Masouras is a quiet force, a silent rage, as I see him. I think you hit the nail right in the head. He's more of looks more like a striker rather than a winger. And I'm sure Olympiacos this summer, they are hoping / aiming to bring a Galetti / Miralas type of winger, the guy that takes people on, he breaks into the area, he throws that killer ball in, that scores the goals, creates the assists. That's the kind of guy they're going to go for them. I mean, they're hoping for a name like Henrik Mkhitaryan, but obviously a lot is going to depend on what happens with the qualifiers as well. And like I said, based on what we've seen this season, the qualifiers, the upcoming qualifiers for the Champions League sting of Maccabi Tel Aviv / Hapoel Beersheva, in my opinion.
I hope not. I hope not. We have another comment here going back to Thrylos from James Howlett. Thrylos is indeed too good for the B team, but it's better for him to play in the B team than not being used at all in the main team, since Martins seems too stubborn in opening the rotation. James, I don't disagree with you there. I think actually we all agree on that. We all agree that we'd rather see him playing, but we're just saying, listen, this guy needs to become part of the first team. He's too obviously we'd rather see him playing than not playing. Actually, and I'm going to say this, if he's not going to be part of the first team over the summer, if I were him and for his career, I'd leave. But at the very least, we need to loan him out. He's too good for the B team. He needs another challenge. Send him somewhere else. Send him to Germany. Send him to Holland. I mean, our players seem to develop very well in Holland. Remember when Marios Vrusai first came back? Tsimikas did really well at Willem. So send our guys there. Send him there. Loan him out to somebody in the Netherlands. That's fine by me. But he should not be playing B team football next season. He is too good for the B team. He needs a bigger challenge if we want to get the most out of him. Comment here from our good friend, Doron Tor. Well done on winning the league. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we're also rooting for our brothers in arms, Nottingham Forest over there in the UK in the championship as they fight for promotion. It was a tough loss to Bournemouth, but I still believe in you guys. I still believe that you can do it.
They got the upper hand in the first playoff. They got the upper hand now.
They did.
Let's see.
We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Sparos. Masouras says El Arabi replacement. I don't know if he can be an
Nope. No chance. This kind of reminds me from 2000, the summer of 2009, when Djordjevic retired and Olympiacos failed to bring like an actual replacement for him. The best they could find was Jawad Zairi. And I remember from the then management coming out and saying, you know what, we already have a replacement, and his name is Aris Soiledis.
Yeah.
And we all know what Soiledis is doing now these days. So
yeah, I remember. I still remember Zaidi as well. Zaidi would have some of those games where it's like, who is this guy? But then once in a while, he would have one of those games like, oh my goodness.
He was a very good player, but
this guy can ball.
He couldn't make it happen. He had incredible dribbling abilities, incredible cross. I remember that goal from Mitroglou, the second one against Panathinaikos. It was all Jawad Zairi's cross.
Yeah, gorgeous cross and a lovely little play too to get the opening for that. So that was Zaidi definitely had some great performances, but the problem for me was his consistency. I don't think he could consist. There were games he just disappeared, but he was a very talented.
The consistency, there you go.
Yeah, he was a very talented player. Joel's replacement was Albert Riera. I think that was about 10 years.
The next year was supposed to be Albert Riera. Albert Riera was supposed to be Joel's replacement.
It was a few years later, though, wasn't it? Wasn't Joel retired?
2009, Joel left.
It was 2000. Okay.
He was supposed to have been replaced by Sebastian Leto, but Leto fell out with Valverde, so Djordjevic had to keep on playing. And he finished in 2009. There was no replacement. And then 2010, Albert Riera arrived.
Albert Riera came. That was he came actually before Valverde was appointed. He came when Lenin was appointed coach. He was our big bam signing of the summer when Marinakis first took over.
I don't remember that, but yeah, maybe, probably, yeah.
I remember because I remember when he took over, everyone talked about the first big bam coming in. It was Riera, and he ended up leading the league in assists that year. Had a great season, and then we ended up he pushed his way out to Galatasaray, and we didn't even make the money that we spent on him. But anyway, that's a story for another time. But Costa, we've kind of talked about it a little bit. We've gone in and out with some of the different transfer rumors, with what was going on with Masouras. Guys, again, if you haven't checked it out already, check out that article from Patrick Kasky about Masouras. Patrick has become a fan of Olympiacos, and he's Scottish. He lives in Scotland. He's a Rangers fan. He writes for Rangers. Well, this is what we're here for. This is what Gate 7 International is about. We're about bringing not just Greeks together, and Greek Americans, Greek Australians, Greek Brazilians, and Argentinians who are part of this community, but non-Greeks that just want to see other teams that like what they see and want to become a part of this. This is what it's about. This is about growing this huge international community for Olympiacos. Getting how people call the casuals. Is that what they say? The casual fan?
I'm not too sure. I think this is the kind of channel that brings on the not forgotten, but somehow kind of forgotten parts of Olympiacos' fan base. Because when you think about Olympiacos fan base, you think about it all Greek, but it's not true. Olympiacos have fans from everywhere, and it's all about inclusion here. It's all about bringing everyone here, Greeks and non-Greeks. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter if you ever were an Olympiacos. Doesn't matter if you were coming from an Olympiacos loving family or a Greek heritage. It's about everyone.
Right. Exactly. So, and that's exactly what we love about it. We've got so many contributors, so many, a couple of our bloggers that are not Greek by descent, but love this team. And that's what it's all about. Now, Costa, we're starting to come on to an hour here. So we'd be remiss if we didn't at least touch on this game that just happened, even though for us, it was going to be a celebration one way or another because we clinched the title. The result didn't matter for us. But Olympiacos did play Paok at home before the celebrations. Was a 1-1 draw. We went down early, but then towards the end of the second half, that was when we had that lovely look by Tsolakis. He saw Adroutsos way up the field at about the halfway line with no Paok players in sight. Everyone just left that side of the field pretty open. And Tsolakis takes what I thought was a very veteran move and just plays the ball to him in stride. And then Adroutsos did very well going down the wing, gets closed down by two players, but sees Carvalho running at the top of the 18-yard mark and plays the ball into him through the two defenders. Carvalho also, we have to say, took a very nice strike just around the keeper on his right side. It was a lovely finish, lovely play. Well done by Adroutsos. Game ends up drawing 1-1 at full time. But even though Adroutsos had a decent play in that respect, when I saw his inclusion in the lineup, it was one of those things that confused me a little bit, because here we're talking about players. We had mentioned that, or it was written in some outlets that Martins was going to look at players in these games that maybe he wasn't so sure about, or some players that he wanted to see if he could show them something to see if they could have a part in this team. And when I saw Adroutsos' name, we've been hearing for the last month and a half or so that Adroutsos is gone. He's out. So why wouldn't you play Vrusai? Why play Adroutsos if he's on his way out? Do you think this means that he might actually stay?
It goes back to one of my questions. Do you think Olympiacos could find a buyer for Adroutsos, because he still has a contract left with Olympiacos? Yeah. I'm not too sure if they can find a buyer or just loan him out.
Maybe.
Like I said in the playoffs, from the moment Olympiacos sealed the league against Paok in Tuba, I feel like Pedro Martin should have just played the seconds, all of them. And I feel like they've earned that opportunity. Like we said, they showed a lot of passion. They showed like they wanted to be there. They showed like they wanted the result. They had something to prove to Pedro Martins and the fans of Olympiacos ahead of preseason and ahead of next season. I feel like a lot of people have earned an opportunity, and they did against Paok as well. You're playing against supposedly the second best team in Greece, And well, you remained undefeated against them. You saw plays like you just mentioned how important Zoulakis was in that goal. Who, in my opinion, Zoulakis reminds me a lot of the Dimitris Eleftheropoulos. He plays like he's much older than he actually is. He has that bit of that Matthijs de Ligt thing where he acts like he has more of a veteran mind on the pitch rather than a new kid who's still trying to find his way around the grass. I feel like we're all happy that the season is coming to an end, and I feel like all fans from every single Greek team is happy that the season is slowly coming to an end. Everyone's looking forward to that, and like I said, that Olympiacos need a signing for every single position, and Martins would do great if he gave the kids a chance, and more specifically, Bagalianis, Markovic, Kinkoué, Sourlis, Pinakas, we'd like to see get him somewhere, and you know, the little trio of Fadiga, Dabo, and Keita. Really exciting to see what they can bring, because they could also save you some money over there. They could become the next Siseba, Gibu, and Kamara, and Madi as well.
I agree with you. And speaking of Fadiga in this game, I thought he did some interesting things as well. Yeah. So I'm hoping that means that we see some more of him. I saw this was the minority, but I saw some people commenting on Zoulakis for the first goal when Paok scored on that first minute when they had the run up there, and Vieirinha, I think, crosses the ball in, and Thrylos loses his man a little bit, and then he connects with the cross from Vieirinha, and then he scores. So I saw some people kind of complaining about that and using. It was Zivkovic. Oh, it was Zivkovic. I apologize. That's right. Sorry. And then Felipe Suarez, I believe, is the one that gets his head on
that's
it.
That's the guy who scored.
You're right. Yeah, it was Zivkovic. I apologize. They're both. You have two little short guys. I always confuse them. You know what I mean? But it was. That was a lovely play from Zivkovic. But I saw some people saying that that kind of cross, that the fact that Zoulakis didn't cut that out proves that he's not ready for the first team. Because those are types of things that a guy like Vachlik or Jose Sa will go out. He will step out and break that cross up before somebody can connect with it and score like that. And I thought about that for a second. So I started going through some plays. I started going through some plays for Jose Sa. I started going through some plays for Vachlik. And Jose Sa definitely would have come out and gotten that. Vachlik, I don't know. Vachlik is a very good keeper, but he stays on his line more than Jose Sa does. Jose Sa was a lot more aggressive coming out on that. So I don't know if I would agree that what Zoulakis did was like an amateur move, because from his positioning, the position that he was in when the cross came in, he did. I think he did. Again, I'm not a goalkeeping expert, but he seemed to do exactly what he was supposed to do there. Thrylos completely left Felipe Suarez on mark. He just lost him entirely. So I don't know what your opinion was on that, but I don't necessarily blame that on Zoulakis.
I completely agree with you. And plus, we've said it. He is Thomas Vaclik's understudy. He still needs to keep playing with the B team to get some more games, more experience. I wouldn't be against the loan. I definitely wouldn't be against the loan. But it's funny with goalkeepers, because if you loan out a goalkeeper to improve, you want to be sure he's going to play. You know, with goalkeepers, only one can play there. I mean, where do you find a team that plays in a decent league and has a decent stature, has decent foundations, a decent organization that will tell you, yeah, bring him over here. We promise we'll play him every game. We promise we'll play him for X amount of games. Where are you going to find that? It's tough with goalkeepers. I feel like the B team would be a great thing because he's still playing with older people in the second division. He's not 100% ready, but he is going to get there. Zoulakis is a gem, in my opinion, and it'll be very exciting, not just for Olympiacos, but Greek football in general, to see how he can improve and what kind of levels he can reach. Because you know what? He could also go to a big team. He could also be sold, and he could also do what other great Greeks did abroad in the recent past.
Yep, I definitely agree with you there. I was just curious because I saw those comments and I was kind of unsure.
No, I think you're
in that
right. In
respect.
my opinion, and plus, I mean, he's so young that he gets to it. Even if he does screw up, he gets to do that once in a while. Okay, he's very young.
Right. And this game also, again, it didn't. We've secured the title, so you need to give him these kinds of games because this is how he can build that experience. And it's literally zero risk for us. I wish we had played more, but I guess I should be happy that we at least saw Bagaglianis and Fadiga. So I'm not going to complain too much. We also saw in the midfield, we saw Koundé, we saw
Koundé was there.
Kane was there too. Kane is.
I was about to ask you. I'm not too sure about Kane.
We talked to Patrick about him because he came from Neftchi Baku, and I did the deep dive on him, and he's very much a 6, another 6. We have so many of those on the team. I do see some value in him defensively. I think his defensive work is okay, but for what we are looking for in a player, like if you're looking at like the void that we still have there for 6s since Guilherme left, that's not him. Koundé is closer. Koundé isn't even as good of a passer as Guilherme was but what Koundé has that Guilherme also could do was he had that ability to also take the ball, get the ball forward, not be afraid to go at people. Koundé can do that. Koundé is also fast. Koundé's short passing is all right. It's just his long passing is sometimes there's a little bit to be desired there. So that was very interesting. And then we saw, of course, the wingers, Gary Rodriguez, Fadiga. I thought that was an interesting winger combo, even though I still thought we struggled to penetrate Paok's defense. We only materialized, I think, maybe 3 shots, 9 shots on target. We really didn't. We only had 2 chances to me that were clear goal scoring chances, or as close to clear goal scoring chances that you could get. And the Carvalho goal, I don't think counts because from the area where he was shooting, that's actually a tough angle. If you look at the shot that he took, that's a very difficult shot to make. That's by no means a clear opportunity. The clear opportunities for me was the Gary Rodriguez opportunity, not his first one early on in the game. That was a nothing chance, but the one that was like 25 minutes in, I believe. And then the Socrates Papastathopoulos chance in the second half. I believe that was like our first look on goal in the second half off of the Koundé set piece. So that was it. We only had 2 opportunities that were semi-clear, and the only reason the Papastathopoulos one was anything there is because he got his head on it while the goalkeeper was out. Otherwise, it was almost an open goal. But we're still struggling. This team struggles because it doesn't have too many dynamic wingers because we play so slow. We struggle to penetrate through these defenses. And it's been a mess, especially in the second half of the season. Like you look at our XG, our metrics, and they're very low. I mean, we'll going through the last games against Paok, under 1, 1.3 Panathinaikos, 1.3 against Aris, under 1 against Paok. It's not good. It's just not good at all. And what makes things worse too is even though our defense doesn't allow a lot of opportunities against us, the problem is when we do get when teams do get forward against us, everybody seems to be very efficient at converting chances against the Olympiacos this season, especially in the second half. So like look at Paok, right? I'll read off the XGs for you guys for the last 4 games. Against Paok this past game, 0.63. Against Panathinaikos, when we lost 2-1, 0.47. Against Aris, 0.84. Against Paok, first week of April, 1.28. Against Pasyanina, 0.6, and they scored 2 goals against us. In Pedro Martins' career, there has never been a segment of time like this where Olympiacos has allowed teams to outscore their XG against us. We've always been very efficient and very good and very strong in our defense. But this season, it's been a different story altogether. Things have been ugly, and we've let things slip through the cracks.
We've gone through it. We've gone in depth with that, but like we feel like there are players who overstayed at Olympiacos. They feel like they should have gone a long time earlier, but it didn't happen mainly because of COVID. I feel like there's a lot of players who are too tired and they just want to go on holiday, especially after they clinched the title. They just didn't have a lot of interest in just pushing it. Like you said, the not good enough wingers to break into opposing defenses. Not a lot of backing from the fullbacks. You got that Guilherme factor missing as well. The Tsimikas and El Abdelawi factors as well. El Abdelawi wasn't firing the same way he was firing in his first 2 seasons at Olympiacos. Fortounis was injured again. A lot of work to be done, but the fact that Fortounis will get his preseason and will get his chance to go back and play for Olympiacos, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, we've said it. A lot of work to be done. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. It's a good thing they start in the second qualifier of the Champions League, but immense changes. You need to see you need to see a drastic change in this team to hope that they're at least going to make it to the Europa League, in my opinion.
Yep. And honestly, I agree with what Costa had said before. I would, because of how tight the schedule is and when we start playing our qualifiers in the summer, I would just let the first team guys off from now. Let them go on vacation. Let them get the rest that we keep hearing from everybody that they're not getting. Give it to them. Give them the rest. The players that, just let the first team off. Let the B team play the rest of the games. Let the guys that are hungry, that we've seen the best football from, actually play the rest of these games and let them go so that we can get better for Champions League and we can be better prepared and everybody rested and healthy for those really important Champions League qualifiers. Because as you've heard from everybody so far in the front office, the goal is Champions League. They want Champions League football, not Europa League, not UEFA Conference League, even though that's probably more our level. They want Champions League football. So if that's what you want and you want players and you're complaining about players being healthy, let the first team guys go and play the B team guys, get a better look at them and let them continue to go forward from there. Guys, as we begin to wrap up, don't forget, if you haven't done so already, hit that like and subscribe button. Join the red-white mission here at Gate 7 International, connecting all fans who love Olympiacos, whether it's Greeks, non-Greeks, anybody. We're trying to get Olympiacos the global recognition it deserves. So help us do that. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Get them to like and subscribe as well. Now, guys, coming up this week, I believe we play against AEK on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. That is an away game, correct? I can pull that up here.
It is on Tuesday at Oaxaca against AEK. And hopefully Olympiacos are going to play their starters because AEK have had a very difficult season.
Yeah, they poor guys have been just falling apart.
Don't you feel sorry for them, Ari? Don't be so cruel, man. You got to start thinking about the people. Jesus, some people.
Those guys. Yep. So we do have AEK coming up on Tuesday of this week. We're going to have some more transfer rumors coming up, guys. We have our ear to the ground, talking to a few different people. So we're going to have, we'll keep those coming. We'll have a lot of transfer specials because it'll be the season. It'll be transfer season. Kostas going to be busy.
I have to say this, guys. Christopher Nkunku is not coming at Olympiacos. Okay, contrary to some misunderstanding that happened recently, Christopher Nkunku is not coming to Olympiacos.
When I heard that, when I listened on replay coming home, I died. Lambro killed me with that one. Sometimes his brain farts kill me. I love it.
Very quick. I have the suspicion that someone, not us, someone is going to link Diego Costa with Olympiacos. I'm having the suspicion we're going to hear Diego Costa for Olympiacos.
Diego Costa, Luis Suarez isn't renewing his contract with Atletico Madrid. So that's...
Oh no, Luis Suarez, no way. But Costa, I can see it happening. I can feel it, Diego Costa.
Ooh. All right, boys. Thank you, boys and girls. Thank you, everyone, for listening, especially if you've made it this far. This is Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. Look out on Tuesday for the game against AEK. Congratulations again to our women's basketball team. For Olympiacos DC, they came back. I think it was 6-5 in the end. Tough match against Shore Sports, which saw them go back to the top. Olympiacos former players. People are having success all over the place, whether it's Kostas Tsimikas, our boys across the pond here, Olympiacos DC. We love it. So much to be happy about, so much to revel in. And let's hope that the revelry can continue with great performances from everybody. And let's hope that we see some more of our B team, some more of our young guys against AEK, and that we have a strong showing. We bring in the players that we need this summer to get this thing done. So thank you everybody again for listening. This is Gate 7 International.
Κάτι μαγικό όπου πάει